Rick and Dave's girl, and you're watching Rick and Dave's Comic Book Hour.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Rick and Dave Comic Book Hour. I'm Rick.
And I'm Dave.
And this issue we will be talking about the new Daredevil #1, another relaunch. Nothing new here. And I say here that Mark Waid is still the writer, and it's a good story. It's a nice superhero story, basic. Introduces the characters that we need to know from the new setting here in San Francisco. And has a nice little twist ending, or a little surprise ending at the end. And I don't know why it needed to be started at #1. There's really no special occasion for it, but I guess since he's in San Francisco now, maybe that's reason enough now to start renumbering books, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to figure out Marvel anymore if they want to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this #1 gimmick. I don't know how to do it because the fans are ADD and get anxious when the title gets too high in numbers, or what? I don't know.
Unless they figure people can't count past 45 anymore.
I think Dave we were discussing earlier that it was last time a Marvel comic has gotten to 100 on, actually on its own.
Yeah,
I mean,
consistently numbered 1 through 100. I can't remember.
How many years has it been? I don't even know if I could keep relaunching it. But anyway, it's a nice story. It's Daredevil in San Francisco. He has to save a kid that's been kidnapped, and so he has. Besides that, he's being chased by a baddie after he rescues the girl, and realizes that the girl has a ticking inside her, which could be a bomb. So they're thinking that they release the girl so she can be blown up at City Hall or someplace with a big.
Yeah, a lot of
public places. So he's trying to get her to the hospital to get that taken care of. But it's a good Daredevil story. I like it. I would continue picking up the book and see how many issues this one gets to before we start over again.
All right. Yeah, I read it too, and I found it to be a pretty decent story. So I agree with Rick on that. So if you like Daredevil, I guess the story's good. So keep getting it.
Yeah.
Glue on your comic book? What the hell's the matter with you?
I didn't know about bags and boards back then.
I don't know. Did they have them back then?
I don't know when they first started out.
Well, I think they did, probably, but
they weren't advertised in comics, and I was nowhere near a comic book shop, so I wouldn't even. If they did, I had no access to it. So, believe it or not, I had some key Bronze Age that were not bagged and boarded for like 5 years. I mean, they were stacked up. So if you can imagine. 120, Amazing Spider-Man 129 and a stack of Spider-Man, not bag and boarded. And my 181 bagged.
Well, you probably didn't think about it too much back then. But. So, in the next thing we're going to talk about is, for me, the long-awaited issue #1 of Silver Surfer.
Dave's been a Surfer fan ever since I've known him. I think he's always liked this Surfer.
Yeah, I think I got every Silver Surfer comic ever put out that I could think of. Got the original 18-issue run back from the 60s and 70s, and then when did that next run start? There was a couple one-shots in there. John Burton, Stanley did a one-shot, and then picked up 87, I think it was. They did a pretty good run and ran 140-some issues. And
did you ever get the first appearance in the Fantastic Four yet?
Not yet.
Still, that's your holy grail right there.
That's my next holy grail is issue 48 of Fantastic Four, the first appearance of Silver Surfer. I haven't gotten that yet.
So what do you think of the story, Dave?
The story was good. It's kind of fun. I mean, they introduced this girl here in the ladybug dress. Her name's Dawn. And so they kind of have a parallel story kind of following here. She's a daughter of she's a twin. And her dad runs a bed and breakfast kind of place, and she helps out, and her sister's the more adventurous one who's always out traveling the world and whatnot, and she's just to stay at home and dreams about traveling but doesn't really do anything about it.
What do you think about the art on this book, Dave?
I don't like this guy. I mean, I'm looking through it, and I don't know. I don't know if it's Silver Surfer, ish or whatever. I guess it's not. I don't know. I hate to backtrack on my hate for this guy, but may not be as horrible as it appears, but some of his Silver Surfers look a little, it looks. If I offended anybody, too bad. Yeah, and the coloring and stuff, I mean, it's Michael Aldred does the art and his wife does the coloring, so I mean, art-wise, I don't know. I kind of hope he doesn't stick around for too long. It looks like he's going to be in through at least issue 4 or more.
But you can bear it because the storyline is pretty good.
The story so far is pretty good. I mean, he goes to a place called the Empiricon, which is a kind of a intergalactic getaway, a Vegas in space kind of place. And he's like, well, why haven't I ever seen this or known about this? And they're like, well, we got technology enough to keep it hidden from Galactus and everybody. And so if you can find out about it, but they're wondering, well, how can you keep a secret? It's like, well, nobody wants Galactus coming here, so nobody says anything about it. So that's how they keep it secret. And cool. So he ends up going there, and he has to, they're wrangling him into doing something he doesn't want to do and whatnot. So they kidnapped this girl to use as leverage against him, and he's trying to figure out who she is and why they think she's important to him. And I guess the next issue maybe we'll figure that out more. But
what's the cover price on this one?
Cover price is $3.99.
Okay, it's a $3.99 book then.
Yeah.
All right, I think the Daredevil is the same thing too.
Yeah. So anyway,
so would you recommend it story-wise to other people that are surfer fans?
If you're a surfer fan, pick it up. I mean, you may not be. I'm not a fan of this guy's art, but Dan Slott is writing it, so I like Dan Slott's stuff. Yeah, so I think he writes a lot of Spider-Man
pretty well too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the story should be solid. The art might be a little dorky, but otherwise, I'd say go ahead and get it.
Alrighty, well, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Good day. But then when I found out about them, I started buying them. I started bagging them more.
Yeah. I took a while. When I started getting it. I don't remember. I remember, well, when I started going to college, I found a comic shop off campus there.
Yep.
And the guy, he'd bag everything and charge you a little bit for the bag, but which was okay with me, since then I didn't have to especially go buy a bunch of bags or anything, so.
I don't know when I actually started. I mean, I got access to a comic book shop over in Canton. Well, actually, it's Tom's store. And I probably saw them there and started buying them and started. I mean, it took a while to start bagging and boarding the books I had already. I mean, I already had huge stacks of books that I had in a toy box. That was my storage container. I had one of these big wooden toy boxes. Like,
I don't know what
I had stacks,
I must have had like a copier box or something from probably my mom's office.
Okay.